Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
This is the Geek Podcast with Jishnu and Tejas.
Hi, welcome to the Geek Food Podcast, the Valentine's Day edition. Yes, nerds also fall in love. It doesn't end up the same way that we think it might in our heads, or that does as it does in comic books or movies or television. But love is an important part of all of it, because ultimately, all you need is love. What say you, Jishnu?
I'm trying to think of a song
Which has a nerd.
that has the word nerd in it.
And love?
And love.
You're gonna have to write that stuff, man. Yeah,
nope.
it doesn't exist.
Nope,
unfortunately, because
this is harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, of course,
man.
that's life, man. Yeah,
There's
you go.
There's no nerd love song?
No, I mean, anything by Weezer, I suppose. They're like nerd rock, I guess. Not really,
Yeah, they
no?
went to Harvard, so I guess. But so did Natalie Portman.
Yeah, that's true. But she was in V for Vendetta.
So did Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde.
Yeah, and she killed it in that movie. Not science fiction, but, still a great film.
Did I mention to you that it's now, it has been for a while, Broadway musical?
Yeah, of course. I love that musical, dude. It's got awesome
seen
music. No, so there was I think VH1 or Channel V or something. Channel V, imagine, in the States or something like that. One of these teen channels did a proper recording of the Broadway show. And it's online and stuff, and it's really good. It's Laura Bell Bundy. I don't know if you know her.
No.
She's great in it, dude. And there's some really good, good music.
So you've gone on YouTube and watched
So
the Legally Blonde musical?
Yeah, of course. It's got great music, dude. The original Broadway cast recording is excellent.
I'm not judging you at all.
I'm not. This is what we do. Anyway, but in this episode, we're going to be talking about. So Jishnu and I, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite romantic science fiction / fantasy / what are the things? Adventure. I don't know, couples in the history of great science fiction and great pop culture. So yeah, man.
What he said.
Yeah, but how are we going to... So should we establish any rules? So we haven't told each other what our picks are.
Nope.
No, we haven't. And so we're going to just explain it. And is there any other rules that we need to have?
No, I think just so long as you can vaguely justify your... You don't have to justify
Yeah, I'll definitely have to justify because mine are not good. My picks are very off the...
That's fine. And we'll see how we define good.
Also, the elements of science fiction must remain in the story. They should be characters set in a fiction, fantasy / whatever.
Fiction of some sort.
Yeah, but science.
Not based in reality, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, as in it should have a scientific element. I mean, ultimately,
cool.
This is a geek show, so yeah.
Sure.
Otherwise, we could just pick, You've Got Mail.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's one of my favorite films.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen it more times than I would care to admit.
Yeah, totally, same. Just like how I've seen Parinita more times than I would claim to admit.
I was not a fan of Sleepless in Seattle, though.
Yeah, not as good as Parinita. Dude, Parinita is an excellent film. No science fiction, but great period piece.
I choose to believe you. I have nothing to base that off of.
Amazing. You not seen Parinita?
No.
Dude.
And I'm okay with that.
It's a great film. Must watch it.
Maybe I'm not okay with
that's the problem. See, in Indian cinema, we don't have many science fiction films, so we watch all the decent ones, and, even though they are not centered around things that we definitely love, like time travel and stuff like that.
How did you like Krish?
Speaking of time travel, yes, that's a good point. Krish 3, you mean?
2?
There was Krish, and then there was Krish 3. There was no Krish 2.
Ah, cool. So they were gonna, fill in the gaps later?
I sincerely hope not. I sincerely hope not. But yeah, Krish 3 had some time travel in it, and it was a love story, and, typically Bollywood film. It was bad. It was terrible.
What is Krish's
powers?
Power.
So basically, his father, now that we're talking about this, I know this.
I'm glad you do.
So his father is from the movie Koi Mil Gaya. So in that, Hrithik Roshan's character is I think he's got Asperger's syndrome. He's autistic or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And basically this alien comes down very E.T.-like, and it was obviously compared a lot to E.T., called Jadoo, who we all know and love. Or at least know. And cool. he derives his powers from the sun, very akin to a Superman that we know. So basically he gets his power from the sun, and with that he takes up on, because Jadoo is protected by this guy, and he wants to take care of him when, the government or the FBI of that small village in, I don't know where it is.
The village has its own
No,
FBI?
so basically the government comes to...
You mean the CID? Karo ya maro.
Dude, Karo ya maro. We should talk about that episode. But yeah, so they come down, down and they try and abduct him, and he protects him. And because of that, he grants him like powers and stuff like that. So basically, he cures him of his, cures him, but like he basically makes him like a regular kid, but with extreme like powers and
which
like
are
like he's got super strength. He can jump really, really high. Again, like early Superman.
he can jump, he can't fly.
He cannot fly. He can jump really.
Okay.
So he vanquishes all his enemies, and by the end, Jadoo leaves also, and he thinks that his powers are also going to go, and they do leave him. But I don't know, somehow in Deus Ex Machina, he sends him a gift with these powers back, and he has them permanently. Cut to Krish, the movie. His this guy is missing, and the son has now inherited these powers without, he's just born and he has these powers and stuff like that. And because Preeti Zinta couldn't act in the movie, they killed off her character. We know too much about this movie.
So then I guess Hrithik Roshan and Preeti Zinta is not in your romantic couples of science fiction
No,
list.
they are definitely not. But I'm glad that we're doing a notable mention right now early on in the show. So anyway, long story short, so we can just get to the main bulk of this episode.
Yes, please.
Krish finds out. So the first Krish, it's set in Singapore. That's how he becomes the vigilante known as Krish. And
No, back up.
Yeah, he's in Singapore.
Because he's in Singapore, he's Krish? Like, why? What's the relationship there?
No, his name is Krishna, the character's name, and his father's been missing for a great deal of time. And basically he finds out that there's Nasruddin Shah is in an iconic villainous role of, I can't remember his name, and he uses a time travel machine and I quote, this is what he says in the movie. He's like, astrology or astronomy ke saath humne ye machine whatever build kiya hai. And he says astrology and astronomy, and I always found that hilarious. I just find it awesomely funny when they take scientific terms and translate them into Hindi and they dumb it down. It's just really funny. So he does that, and he sees in this machine Krish killing him. And he's like, I have to get rid of Krish. But ultimately, it comes a full circle, and that's how the movie ends. Basically, in his attempt to try and stop Krish, he kills himself. He dies at the hands of Krish. There you go. Boom. Spoilers alert, everyone. And then cut to Krish 3. Now, Krish 3, more people... Vivek Oberoi's iconic role where he compared himself to Heath Ledger's the Joker from The Dark Knight. Do you remember? This is hilarious. And basically, it's a ripoff of X-Men and everything like that, where he has these animal slash man... it's called what? Janvar slash... shit, I can't remember it. But it's so funny, and it's the best. So that's the lowdown for Krish for you. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about our favorite couples. You wanna go? You wanna start first after this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Love and stuff when we get back.
Now, if you want to listen to some brilliant indie music from all over the country, it's really simple. You can find me on Made in India. It's madeinindia.in. My name is May, and it's spelled M-A-E-D. Now, I've had some great artists on the show, including the likes of Nikhil D'Souza, The Cognac Net, Last Remaining Light, Tejas Menon, The Other People, Alicia Pays, Lakshmi Baum, Vasudha Sharma, Ankur Tiwari, and so many more. Now, if you want to subscribe, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher or your favorite podcast app, or you can find me on my website. That's madeinindia.in. That's M-A-E-D, or on Twitter and Facebook on Made in India.
Hello again.
That was a great ad.
Yes.
An excellent ad.
I'm sure it was.
So yeah, we're getting to romance and in film. So Jishnu, tell me about your love life, man.
Oh.
Is it filled with...
Give me 5 seconds and I'll be done.
You and me both. I'm already done.
So the first on my list is one Dr. Venkman, and I forget her name, but played by Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters.
Oh, of course, yeah. Ivan Venkman.
No. Peter Venkman.
Peter Venkman.
Ivan was the bad guy in the second episode.
Oh, damn it.
Ivan the Conqueror.
Yeah, of
Ivan
course,
whatever his name was. The painting.
Nice.
So,
is she there in the new movie?
I don't know.
Oh.
I hope so.
Oh, cool.
I mean, what?
Nice.
Like, that'd be amazing.
That would be awesome. So tell me about this romance, and it's been a while since I've seen Ghostbusters and caught up on it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really fantastical and endearing to me a little bit, just because it's silly because it's Bill Murray at one of his most Bill Murray-est.
It's probably what made him Bill Murray, though. Like, one of those roles.
I think that like maybe
Steve Zissou? But that was still much later. Yeah.
But I just think that
Groundhog's Day. Sorry, got it.
I think there was something even before that.
Yeah?
But then I'm not a Murray expert. I love him, but I'm not an expert on him.
Yeah.
But I guess I really liked just that she becomes a dog and he doesn't care. I mean,
Yeah.
just like that one line. Okay, she's a dog.
Yep.
So?
That's it.
And then he undogs her and then makes out with her. And then
Yeah.
they live happily ever after.
That's great.
And then in the second movie,
Yeah.
sequel, she has a kid and kid gets possessed by this Ivan the something demon guy.
I can't remember his name.
I forget
Yeah,
Ivan the what.
I know, yeah.
I've definitely seen the first movie a lot more than
Lot
I've seen
more,
the
yeah.
second movie.
That's so true. though.
And, it's still continuing on. He doesn't mind that, she was a dog and now she's possessed by some Ivan dude, or her offspring is possessed by some Ivan dude.
Right,
and
right.
all this. Like, it's just
like,
cute.
chill,
I mean, like,
yeah.
there's nothing brilliant about it, but I just really like.
That's funny you choose that because it's definitely not the centerpiece of the film.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
which
to
is
it.
yeah,
It's just a
Yeah.
cute little. It feels like something as fluff as any Tom Hanks Meg Ryan movie.
That's true,
but with ghosts and like plasma guns. And
Very true.
stuff like that.
Ectoplasm.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man, that's very
I
true.
have nothing brilliant to say. I just really.
That's awesome,
I
man.
enjoy that
That's
couple.
superb, yeah.
And I hope that they reprise their roles in the.
Yeah, I was thinking. So, I did make a comment earlier saying that these guys are confirmed for this movie. But I think, so again, so I checked back on it because I really wanted to see if that was true. Because I remember reading it somewhere because they've been going back and forth on it. So, as far as I know, I think Bill Murray is going to be there for sure. But I do not know about Dan Aykroyd.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unless I'm mistaken. I mean, this
Did you
was
read something?
This was,
I may have
this
missed
was
it.
a while ago. This was
Yeah.
maybe even like 2 years ago,
Yeah,
as much
yeah.
as that. But I do recall when it was first like announced that, hey, there are serious efforts being put into getting this together if we can get the team back together. And I want to say that it was a video I saw, an interview of Dan Aykroyd saying, I want to do this.
Oh, sweet. Oh, then it should happen.
I'm waiting to hear
Definitely.
from Bill. I don't know about it. And the rest of the
I think
guys.
Bill
and-
Murray is definitely going to be there. But like, I didn't see what they just released some cast photos or set photos and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, it's just of the principal cast, and it looks good. It looks solid. Like,
So there was a thing I saw on Nerdist. Did you see about this? Like they had a short little video out about the Lego toys for the new Ghostbusters
oh no,
film.
yeah, I mean,
I
yeah.
didn't want to see it because it just said
It gives away some plot
it
points.
said, yeah,
The toys
it's like-
always do that. They've
which
always
was,
done
yeah.
that.
So I was like via Lego as
Yeah.
well. So I was like, it needs to be pretty clear what the plot point is because like Legos, they're not
Yeah.
very well drawn, so you don't really know what it is that you're looking
Is he
at.
happy? Is he sad?
Is it a guy? Is it a girl? I don't know. It doesn't have hair on his head, so I don't know if it's a guy or a girl.
Yeah, that's funny. Though, like, speaking of toys revealing, like, plot points, I mean, toys have done that for a long time, but they've also really been super abstract. Like, I remember when they had the Spider car, like, Spider-Man car, like, notoriously, like a hated kind of toy that came out. Because, like, why does Spider-Man need a car, right? Like, why do you need a buggy?
I don't remember this at all.
This is, like, a big thing that happened a while ago. Especially, and they brought it back for Ultimates. And it was there, I think, as part of the Amazing Spider-Man promotion. And it was one of the toys. And everyone was like, what? Are you kidding? Are you going to have, like, a toy in this? Obviously, there wasn't. But, I mean, and some they get really on the money. Like, one that we know is definitely going to happen. I don't know. I told you the Hot Toys figure of in Batman from Batman vs. Superman, where he's wearing the trench coat and everything is called. So that action figure is called Nightmare Batman, but like KNIGHTMARE. And so everyone's assuming there's going to be a sequence, like a dream sequence. And again, did I really want to know that? But like it was paraded all over the internet saying, oh, even Nightmare Batman is out. So I was just like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed also very unlikely that would be part of the story.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, really, do we need to...
I mean, they've given away so much about that movie at this point. I feel like they need to definitely have a secret third act that we don't know anything about, which...
Yeah.
I mean, if they know what they're doing at all, then they will. I mean, so...
Yeah. Speaking of which, so I will get to my first pick.
Yeah.
So I've picked, I have too many picks, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I've picked like one from a different medium.
Sure.
So this one is from the animated show. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. So why I'm wearing a Green Lantern shirt today also is because the first couple I want to talk about is one that I watched while growing up, which is from the show Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which is a great story arc, which is, I feel, not given enough importance in the DC animated universe. So the DC animated universe has always been amazing, and it spawned characters like Harley Quinn, like Harley from the movie is now in the movie. She was first. She was never in the comic book. She was the first. She was first a character in the Paul Dini and Bruce Timm show, and became so famous that So I like that animated stuff was also kind of influencing like the movies and stuff. And so when they decided to make the Justice League, the Superman show was already out, the Batman show was already out, and they were picking who's going to be there. And everyone was super upset that Hal Jordan was not going to be the Green Lantern because he was already there in the Superman show. And they were like, why aren't you using him? And they instead decided to go with some sort of like diversity and cast, cast as in make Jon Stewart, who was in the comics like an architect. They gave him like a military background, they changed him and they made him awesome and they brought him into the show. And the only other person who was like weird like him was like the other John, which is like Martian Manhunter. Other female character was Hawkgirl, who is now Wonder Woman, so she was kind of sidelined. And I just found it, like, amazing that they took the slightly more obscure characters and gave them the most amazing love story ever, which is that and her name is Shaira, who's now also in Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, which we need to watch, by the way. But yeah, it's this amazing love story because they are very against each other. They both have completely different, schools of thought. She's from like a different planet. He's like a common like US military guy who's been given the thing of the ring and the power of the ring. Anyway, so they basically across the first 2 seasons, it's like they kind of have these moments, isn't it? It's like they're the Ross and Rachel of this show. It's awesome. It's really good. And in one episode, Wildcats, they finally, and I'm gonna quote what she's like, but how can we do this? We're two different kind of people. And he was like, well, I see a man and I see a woman. And then finally he takes off her mask, which she's been wearing like the whole, like her helmet. And she's beautiful. And it's weird because she has black eyes in the mask, but when she takes off, she has green eyes. It's weird. But yeah, it's weird.
You mean she was wearing contact lenses?
I don't know. Maybe like, I don't know what it was. But like, so yeah, and then they embrace and they like make out and shit. And it's a great, glorious love story.
Wait, they showed making out in this cartoon? That's very age inappropriate.
Well...
That's just wrong.
Yeah, I watched it recently again, and I was just like, yes.
I don't know how the Indian censor boards let that through.
I didn't watch it in India. There you go. But yeah, and so basically it leads up to this amazing season finale, which is where Justice League, the show, ended, which has had this 10, or I think 7 of them in the roster, and then it became Justice League Unlimited, where they said...
This was a 3-part episode.
The 3-part episode called Star-Crossed, where you basically realize that she's from Thanagar, and she's just been scouting Earths for this massive invasion by the Thanagarians. And she's like a double agent, and he's like it's like this ultimate like double cross betrayal. But you kind of realize that throughout this show, she didn't have much of a choice. She had like this guy who she's betrothed to, and she's in love with, kind of. But she's away from him. She's not seen him for a long time, and it's like, she has this thing with this guy, and like she's like, and it basically, so it's funny because Legends of Tomorrow, it has the exact same the thing is that they basically are a reincarnation of these Egyptian priests and whatever. And she was married to this guy, but but she didn't want to be, and she was in love with this, and it becomes a really complex, dark love story. Now the cool part of this story is that when this betrayal happens, they still decide to say, you can still come back, it's fine, we don't blame you for what happened. But obviously they're split up and stuff, and he starts dating this Vixen, like this is the name of the character. And there's one amazing episode, I don't know if you saw that show Batman Beyond, like Batman of the Future.
I saw like a little bit of it. I tapped out after I saw the original, animated series.
So it's a great show. That's an excellent show. And basically there's a crossover episode that they both have where Batman, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman go into the future. Okay? They go into the future and they meet like Static Shock, who's now old, and they meet like the Batman of that time, the Batman of the future. And they meet this guy who looks a lot like a Hawk girl, okay, like
a guy that looks like Hawk girl?
Yeah, and like he's like a Hawk guy, like he's a Thanagar, like, and he just looks at him, and he's like, he looks at Jon Stewart who's come back, and he's like, father? And he's like, what? And then he realizes, he's like, yeah, I'm from the future, I'm your son. He's like, with whom? He's like, isn't it kind of obvious who you eventually have a kid with? And he's just like, wait, I don't know, I don't want to know about my future, I don't want to know anything. And so, but you realize that they've had a kid, and so it's like, so ultimately when he comes back, he tells Shaira, and he's like, we have a kid together in the future. He's like, so why are we fighting this? He's like, no, I will not be a pawn of destiny and all that shit. And but like this one goes to Batman, and she says, tell me about my son. So now the big part of this, just to conclude this amazing love story, is that it wasn't concluded. It was such a shame because the show got over, but nobody says what happens to Shaira and John. And everybody like myself were like, what? You can't do that. However, there was a comic book spin-off.
You've thought about this way too much.
And there's a comic book spin-off that basically ends this. So basically that guy who she was Hawkman, he comes back as a ghost and kills Vixen. And then he basically, he decides to kind of keep his destiny, and he has a kid with Shira. And so it's ultimately resolved. But it's a crazy love story. It's like, so that's why it becomes like definitely one of my favorites.
Oh
and
my God.
the Green Lantern.
How can you keep track of that?
Because I followed it up like a nerd.
Nonsense.
Yeah, it was a great love story.
Oh
though.
my
It's
God.
a great. Okay, so
That's much worse than Ross and Rachel. Like Ross and Rachel was at least like it's pretty simple.
there were only 4 seasons.
A linear timeline.
Yeah.
You're going into like parallel dimensions.
But that's
now.
the kind
This
of
is-
science fiction romance that I love.
can't keep track of this.
Notable mention:
Oh.
Time Traveler's Wife. I love that movie. And it's one of my favorites, Eric Bana, and I read the book also by Audrey Neffenegger. And it's about the guy who's got, like, he keeps disappearing in time, and you realize how he is predestined her entire, like, romance with him. It's weird, but it's amazing. Yeah. Have you seen Time Traveler's Wife?
I've not seen it, no.
It's a great movie, yeah.
Okay, so I sense a theme of what will be the next 2 picks for you and myself and how they will differ. So my second one, much like my first one, nothing great and extravagant about it, but it is... one Dr. Horrible and Penny.
Oh my God, one of my favorites, all-time favorites.
And I'll tell
Great
you,
choice.
I'll tell you the third one is also a Whedon couple, because I just think Whedon, particularly he's known so much for writing really strong female characters, and in this one, while Penny is sort of the damsel in distress.
She is, yeah.
She basically is. It's such a short little story, right? It was like, what, 20-minute episodes or 10-minute episodes or something?
I think, every episode was
it's less
15 minutes
It's
or
an
something.
hour or maybe just under or something like that. But if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but he kills her at the end, and it's
By
devastating.
accident, though. By accident.
Well, Dr. Horrible kills her by accident. I mean, what I mean is that Whedon writes her off and kills her off immediately. And so it ends with, like, nobody gets the girl. I mean, she was with Captain Hammer, and then, Dr. Horrible is the guy you're rooting for, and you just, you hope that works out, but it doesn't, obviously. And he just lets it sit that way, and I just, I mean,
it's
you
just
know that
unsettling.
I love when people die in stories.
Yeah.
Because I just love to see how you can make it work with or without them.
Yeah.
And also, a girl that can, like, harmonize like that, hey,
Yeah.
is okay in my book.
Amazing. Yeah.
Because, man, those songs were great.
So those songs are excellent.
I love those songs.
Yeah. What a crazy science fiction musical. Amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like every year or so I hear some whispers
About a sequel,
a
yes.
sequel
So
or
apparently
a
it is
full-blown movie.
happening. Now it is
yeah,
happening,
like
yeah.
now I hear, like, the last I heard was just a few months ago where they said it's now just a matter of when we can all get in the same room together, basically. Apparently everybody is game. It's just a matter of when schedules free up
Well,
for
I
that.
guess it could happen now since Avengers is out of
Absolutely.
Joss
I mean,
Whedon's
thing
life.
is, he made Much Ado About Nothing in a week.
In the week, yeah.
In 1 week, he makes a Shakespearean movie. So this guy can do literally anything. So it's just a matter of when everybody has some free time. So they want to do it. So I'm sure they will whenever they can. I would actually imagine that the people that are the most busy in that team right now, actually,
Jed
and Marissa
with Agents of
With
Shield, as
Agents
you
of
mentioned.
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Yeah.
Because that's,
So are they still writing for the show? They're showrunners. They're the showrunners?
I believe so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. So then they must be pretty.
Yeah,
because they've got a lot of work on their hands.
Yeah. They are married.
Until Inhumans.
They are married to this universe far more than Joss.
Than
is.
Joss was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Although he is still a producer on that show as well.
Is he though?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting. But he must be like
Yeah, like
name
backroom sort of.
Yeah, saying, you know what would be better if you did this?
Yeah.
Just like throw a wrench in the work.
Right.
But great, man. I love that movie. I love that series, Dr. Horrible, and I love that story is like he's a villain who's in love with this girl, and he's not actually. He's like kind of like an anti-villain in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's only her death that makes him a villain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her death is not supposed to be, like, not supposed to happen, but, like, he accepts and he says, I'm a villain.
And I don't think he kills anybody before that.
No, he doesn't. He's like a harmless guy. Actually,
He's
real
a
villain,
bumbling villain.
Yeah,
He's more like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, exactly. That's
He
true.
can't get anything right.
Him
so-
and Damp. What's his name? Damp? Moist.
Moist.
I just make everything damp. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. And yeah, man. And actually, and Nathan Fillion is actually the real kind of antagonist of it. He's an obnoxious superhero, which is great. Yeah. No, and yeah, her death is kind of like the means to, like, that's why I'm interested in seeing what happens now. You know, it's like,
I'm really interested in it because do you remember the team that was assembled at the table at the end?
Yeah,
the final
Bad
shot
Horse.
when Bad Horse was there. There's like an evil David Bowie.
Yeah.
There's an
It's really
evil
funny.
Thomas Jefferson or something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, there's like crazy motley
just
crew
a
of characters.
hilarious thing where it was like Jed Whedon is one of the guys. I think Jed Whedon is David
Bad-
Bowie.
Oh yeah?
I think that is Jed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like you can tell it was just like the cast
Jed is
and
also
the crew in the back room being like, hey, who wants to dress up as what? And like,
Exactly.
just bring your own crap to work.
I thought
day
Jed
and
was
let's
like
just sit
basically, you know, whenever they receive mails from Bad Horse.
He's also that guy.
He's the guy.
He's
with
also
the
he's one of those guys as well. Yeah,
Those are great.
That's so good. It's such a fun,
excellent stuff.
such
Cool.
a
So
fun
should we
show.
take like a short break and then come back and talk about what our Geek Food staff has recommended for these selections?
Ooh, we have friends as well.
We have friends who have legit like couples. So we'll be back and we'll talk about that.
You can listen to Cyrus Says from our apps on iOS, Android, or our website, cyrussays.in. You can also listen to services like iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcasting softwares. It's cyrussays.in.
I just thought of a song.
Oh, which one? Oh, the sci-fi and nerd song and love song.
Isn't she nerdy?
But that's not the words of the song.
Isn't she? Well, whenever I have a song that like is the
That's
actual
true.
words.
That's true. Yeah,
Come on, I'm
You're
being consistent.
consistent.
All right, I put effort into this,
Oh man,
and I got shot down.
Yeah.
Well, go on, please.
That's great though.
me some
That's
slack.
great. I know. Then we can just convert so many songs.
Well, that's what I do, man.
Yeah, you're a song converter.
I do it on the reg.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Cool,
Free
man.
of charge, no extra cost.
Okay, so we're back with the Valentine's Day couples. The problem with like comic book couples is that they never last. Like they never it's never forever. Let me put it that way. Yeah. It's like all of them, like, because they have to continue the drama. It's like, imagine an endless Ross and Rachel.
Well, then forget. Okay, so if you're not talking about comic books, so then which couple is forever?
The couple that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite movies, and it's adapted from a book also which I've read, and that book is adapted from a novel which actually I've read it's like a novelette which I have read and not read the book.
A what?
A novelette. It's like a short story but longish kind of short story.
So
like Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption is like a novelette.
A novella.
Yeah, that's the word that they've used online.
Well then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so a novella, sure.
Let's go with that.
And actually, novella sounds more science fiction-y. Because it's like almost supernovella. Get it? Like supernova?
Just say your
so
thing.
this is my second pick. I only thought of it yesterday and I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. So it's a book called The Bicentennial Man, which was then based on...
Made into a movie.
Made into a movie.
With Robin Williams.
With Robin Williams, yeah. It's one of my favorites.
I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, I know. So I rewatched it recently for this thing, and so it's basically it's by Asimov, Isaac Asimov, obviously one of my favorite authors. Or kind of like one of the reasons why at least I got into like robots and science fiction. That's how I got into it. And it's also because of my brother. He kind of made me read this. This is one of the first stories I ever read, and it's like. What I really have always loved about Asimov is that any kind of science fiction story these days which has to do with AI most obviously depicts like this dystopian future or Skynet or, you know, something that is bad is going to happen. The AI is going to take over and destroy you. And Asimov really subverted that so well, like that he made robots more human than the humans and he made them nice and they made them good and like... And the real arc of most of his stories are that the robot it's a journey from the robot like to become like more of a human, like have emotions and stuff. And I think this story kind of really spoke about it in a very large kind of context. But the love story in this movie is really what made it awesome for me. So the Bicentennial Man is basically about Robin Williams' character. He's a robot, and he's called Andrew, and he goes and lives with his family. And this is the time when robots in 2005, set in 2005, when robots are not, you know, it's only for like a richer class and stuff.
Right.
And Sam Neill, who we love.
Yep.
This is one of his greater roles also. It's great.
I really need to see this movie again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I totally forgot that he basically looked like 3PO.
Yeah,
when he started.
exactly.
He was exactly like 3PO.
Yeah, yeah. But a little like more
just-
like a
yeah,
matte, like matte finish.
Yeah, 3PO was like grunge.
Yeah. And he was like gloss.
I mean, he was on Tatooine. So
Yeah, it's
what
true.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
But,
have we explained why he got the red arm yet? We don't know
think
that.
so. I
There's a
don't
book
think
or
so.
something out there on it. I'm not.
Yeah. I saw a great GIF or whatever it was of just him and Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like just he's got the Iron Man
Oh,
arm
right,
and he has a circle inside.
Yeah.
It's like he's got an arc reactor.
Oh, that's so true.
It worked.
Wow.
It worked surprisingly well. I was like, damn, you don't need to like Photoshop anything. Like,
That's
just
great.
say he's an Iron Man 3PO and like boom.
Iron Man 3PO. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway,
Go
so basically, he comes to live with his family, whose name is, and he takes on their surname. So he's called Andrew because it's based on Android.
Yeah, of course.
And Andrew Martin, and so he starts serving this family, and he becomes one of the few robots who becomes sentient, and he starts becoming creative, which is that he basically breaks this main character, his principal character called Little Miss, who's the girl in the film, who he really takes to. And he breaks one of her dolls and then he creates one by himself, and his master, like Sam Neill's character, says, "How did you do that?" And he's like, "Oh, just, it came to me." And he's like, "Wow, we need to really protect the rights of what you have in your mind." So he takes them and he's, to the US robotics place, which is in this movie, it's called something else. And he says that if you touch his brain, I will sue you guys like endlessly. So he becomes like a unique figure, and that series is disbanded. And so what happens is the whole movie is about his journey to become free and also like become the status of a man. He wants to understand more and more emotion.
Right.
That's got such a great arc that so the end of the first major act of it is that he says, "I want my freedom." And Sam Neill's character is like, "Why do you want freedom? I can give you anything that you want. I've supported you." He's like, "No, I just want to be free." He's like, "If you want to be free, leave. Then you can't serve us." He's like, "No, but I still want to serve you." He's like, "No." So he leaves.
Who plays Little Miss?
So this actress named Emmett Davids. Okay. So she has a double role in the movie, right?
Okay.
So she plays Little Miss, and then so he leaves this place and he comes back after 20 years because he finds out that
that's right.
and he
he's
comes
old.
back and he finds out Little Miss he sees Little Miss but the same age, in fact even younger. And he's like, "How is this possible?" And then it turns out that she is the granddaughter of Little Miss, and he's like, she says, "Oh no, usually it's genetics, it skips a generation," which I found also was really cool because she's identical. It's almost like a throw to like robots, that they're all identical.
Right.
So he falls in love with her and he kind of tries his best to become a human to be with her, and the way he convinces her that he is a human, and he makes her cancel her wedding.
Oh, wow.
And it's awesome. It's such a great scene. He just tells her, and I remember this scene. It's so good. He's like, why are you lying to yourself? Why are you lying to yourself? And she's like, "No, I'm not lying to myself." He's like, "But your heart rate is not this and this." He just uses all his robot features. He's like, "Your heart rate is this. Your breathing has become like this." And she's like, it's not fair. You're not reading me. You can't read me like that." And he's like, "Love isn't fair. And I'm not reading I'm not reading that. I'm reading your heart. And I'm asking you to follow it." And it's a great story. And it basically ends with finally he's converted. He gets a nervous system with Oliver Platt's character, who's excellent in it.
Right. He was like the mad scientist.
Yeah,
right?
he's a great guy in it. And it's like there's this one amazing scene where he describes sex to Oliver Platt's character, who's clearly not had any at least in a while.
Yeah.
And like you should see Oliver Platt's face like light up when he describes how it is, because he's had it, because they install like a reproductive system into him and stuff like that. Anyway, it's just brilliant. And the end of the film is basically he goes to this council and he started aging because they finally introduced blood into his system.
Right.
And he asks for status as a human being. And finally, literally, they're both on their deathbed in that sense.
That's right.
And before they grant him status, and they say, because you're a human, you're the oldest human alive now because of, these basic circumstance. And he says, you're 200 years old. But before they can announce it, he dies. And she asks to unplug her system. And they die together.
This mirrors. Have you seen Jack?
Yeah.
I love that
Jack
movie
is amazing.
so much. This mirrors Jack so closely.
Very
'cause,
true, yeah.
At the end of it, he is like 80 or
he's
something.
80, yeah, 80.
And he
Dude,
was just graduating high school.
It was
like
tragic.
It's
but
such a tearjerker movie.
It's a full tearjerker movie.
And
amazing
it ends
movie.
with Stars by Brian Adams.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's like the thing what I loved about this movie more than everything else is that it's Robin Williams, man.
Yeah.
It's Robin Williams doing one of his like best roles like ever, and it's like a beautiful heartfelt story.
That movie's so forgotten. I really need to go
Chris
back and
Columbus,
see that.
by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So,
That guy's got the weirdest resume. Huh?
It's true. Yeah, he's done
It's such a
some crazy
bizarre
stuff.
resume.
Rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, this,
Potters.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But he's done well. He's good at this sentimental. That's why I think
guess
there was
so.
so much backlash against this.
Yeah.
Like when it came out, like nobody liked it at all. It bombed at the box office.
Did it?
Robin Williams blamed Disney, and he had this falling out with Disney at this point. And like a bunch of stuff happened. But now like
Is it campy at all? I mean, like I literally haven't
it's
seen the
very
movie in like 10
sentimental.
years.
It's
It
very
might be sentimental, but
yeah.
is
it's
it?
It's not hammy in any way. It's extremely well acted, and it's like a beautiful dramatic love story, but at the same time there's comedy because it's Robin Williams.
Right.
And it doesn't take the comedy so. It's not like funny, out and out funny. It's so serious.
Yeah.
It's an Asimov film, and it's great. And I watched it, and I was just like, wow, this is one of the most like enduring love stories because of this guy.
Sure.
It's a robot who falls in love,
Well,
so that's definitely my second pick. Amazing film.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So my last one, like I said, is also Whedon. Firefly.
I knew it, obviously.
Yeah,
of course.
Has to be.
I mean,
Now,
such a solid romance.
so they weren't ever really a couple, but
It was obviously they were.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Zoe.
No, so I'm talking about
Anwar,
Malcolm
no.
and
Malcolm.
and Inara.
Oh,
so they were never really a couple. But
Okay, fair enough.
I always seem to enjoy seeing the story play out of a couple when they're trying to be one, and you can tell that they both want to. So like, it's bring up Ross and Rachel again. Like it was.
Okay.
I think it was a lot more fun before they actually became a couple.
Yeah, of course,
Right?
yeah. Because they're only a couple by the end, though.
True, but I mean, they were on again, off again, and that whole thing. So it was
They-
always
they
more
were on a
fun when they
break.
were off again. It was always more fun when they were on a
Yeah.
break.
Because it's palpable then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
tension, yeah.
So Zoe and Wash are amazing, and but
excellent.
that's a whole other thing to get into. But what I liked about Inara and Reynolds was that one, just in general, the dystopia that he's created, where in which these guys are basically, while they are traveling from planet to planet,
Yeah.
that ship, the Serenity ship, is essentially like. It is functioning like a ship in that it has an engine room and a captain and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
But the fact that you have, a lady of the night, let's call her,
that's very true.
living on board, and there's this awkward thing of like, don't call me a whore, and it's like, well, but you are one, and
Yeah.
but you're living under my roof, so you live by my rules. It's like, well, then I won't live here. Well, then you won't live anywhere because you're just
Exactly.
a whore. So like, what are you gonna do? It's just it's one of the most bizarre sort of sitcom-y relationships. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's so
Fair enough.
there's something very campy about that thing because like he
Yeah.
also has a priest on board, and
So, yeah.
every like just the players involved,
Yeah.
and the
They're
scene
very
that's
iconic,
painted,
like, roles.
exactly.
And you have to liken it to basically because what Firefly and what's the Serenity is modeled. It's like a Western town, like, and it has
absolutely.
every
It is. It feels like its own planet or its own city
its
or
own
whatever.
place, and it has every type of character who inhabits that. It's like living in the sitcom world. Like
It
you
is.
have
It
every kind
literally
of,
feels like a sitcom.
So that's why they
done
had that.
so well.
Yeah, it's a great. It's a great show. Yeah.
And yeah, so like, that relationship also never truly comes to fruition. But then you
Yeah.
could make the argument because the show was cancelled and all that. But
I
don't-
agree.
But I think.
But, with Serenity-
it's one of those relationships that
Yeah.
I don't want to see happen. You know what I mean?
You'd much rather see.
I'd much rather see them struggle. The struggle is so much more fun.
Struggle
for me to
is
see.
real.
The struggle is real, bro. Because if they did finally get together and become a couple,
Won't be as entertaining.
It would be, like,
and for a viewer, you're saying.
exactly. Yeah, and that's.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sorry.
as
I'm
a
selfish to
person
think
in
that I want to enjoy this piece of entertainment that you're creating. But yeah, it's like I really like their relationship just because I find it to be very just so odd. It's
Yeah.
just I think that's where the science fiction aspect really.
It's set in a bizarre
shines.
world,
It's
yeah.
just set in such a
Yeah.
odd circumstance that you can't really have. I don't know what a real world equivalent of that scenario would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like who would be living in the same quarters as a whore, and then but still be friends with her. But she is so proud of it because it's a legitimate profession, that you can't call her out on that.
Yeah.
And you both need each other to survive at all times.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just the math doesn't make any sense unless you say, but it's science fiction. Well, then it's okay.
That's the whole thing. That's what science fiction does best.
Yeah.
Like, it takes what we know as regular concepts and puts them in bizarre situations, see how they play out. And I think, the whole Firefly Serenity just did that whole Western, Wild West kind of thing.
So
It was very, forcing, okay, this is what it is. It's a Wild West show in space. And that worked so well, man. It was,
can I tell you, the first time I saw Firefly, though, was in college with a bunch of friends. And I didn't know what we were watching because I was living in dorms and I was just walking by and I saw a bunch of people in my friend Misha's room, and I was like, and there were like a whole 7 or 8 people that I was like, hey, what's going on? And they were turning on something. They were just about to watch something, and they were like, hey, come in and watch this thing. I was like, all right. I had nothing better to do, so I just sat down. I had no idea what we were going to see.
You were just watching it from the first episode, though.
Yeah, but I had no clue what this was, right? And everyone was like really excited, but they weren't really saying much. They were just like, they were literally just turning it on, like, all right, keep quiet, let's watch this.
Yeah.
So I saw the first 10, 15 minutes before the intro sequence, the title sequence comes on.
Yeah.
And it's
this is when they
Is what?
they have to pick up people.
they're picking up. This is when they meet everybody. They're picking everybody up on.
Man, it's been years.
So it opens with the battle.
I
right?
remember. Yeah.
The Battle of Serenity happens.
Correct. Yeah.
After which you flash forward to present day, where in which they're all getting ready to get on the ship, and that's when they meet the preacher and they meet everybody.
Right.
So I've just seen lasers, and what kind of reminds me a lot of the Terminator fights.
Yeah, the Skynet.
It kind of looks like the Skynet fight.
It does.
And I was like, okay, cool. So clearly they've established these two characters. All right, cool. Next thing I know, we're now in what looks like Mos Eisley, and they're all packing up stuff and their horses.
It's very Mos Eisley. The whole show is very like smuggler-esque. Yeah.
And then the title sequence happens, and the song I think is a very good song, but it's odd as all hell. It's bizarre. It's a very weird. Take my love, take my land.
But who's it?
Who's it by?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know who it's by.
Must be
I want to say one of the Whedons wrote it because they wrote
okay,
all the
cool.
music.
I
could be completely wrong, but I want to say that.
Enough.
Anyway, so it's a very bizarre song which has like violins and stuff like that in it, and then the imagery along with like spaceships and stuff is literally horses. And then I just didn't know what I was looking at, and nobody prepped me for this show.
Yeah.
So I walked out. I was like, guys,
what's going on?
I don't know what this is. And they told me it was like a 90-minute commitment because the first episode is
it's an extended
episode.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, maybe another day. And then like,
how did you end up watching it then?
4 or 5 years later.
What?
No, yeah, about 4 years later.
Okay.
Just out of the blue. I picked up on Firefly and Game of Thrones at this exact same time.
What?
So it was around. Would have been like 2010 or something. Or 2011 maybe. Yeah. I got into it really late, but I mean like, just on a whim. I'd always heard about Firefly for like years.
Yeah, same.
And so I saw when I saw it that day, in like 2007 or whatever it was, I was like, oh, this is that thing.
Fine, might as well.
But gee, I don't know. I realized it was Firefly when I saw the words Firefly, but I was like, okay, but I'm not in the right headspace for this right now because it seems like this is way too much because it's a pretty crazy.
It's 14 episodes though.
No. I mean the premise of
the premise.
I wasn't ready to get my head around cowboys in space.
In space,
I was like, that's okay. I need to be in the right frame of mind for this.
Yeah, that's true. Classic show. I mean, shame it didn't get past. I mean, we did get the movie, but whatever. It's cool. And apparently, there's some comic books which came after the fact also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so coming back, we're just gonna quickly go through some of the recommendations that came from our stuff.
Do that.
Yeah. So Dinkar, best suggestion, which I thought was really great. Joel and Clementine from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Amazing. One of my favorite films.
Also, another one like Bicentennial Man I've seen once, and I remember very little of it. I remember excellent. I loved it, but
and totally driven by the
completely
performance.
slipped my mind.
Yeah. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, and Elijah Wood also.
That's right. Yeah. See, I barely remember this
excellent film. It's about him trying to hide her in her own memories because she's getting him erased from them. And it's just like the ultimate romantic science fiction film in that sense that, where lovers are trying to rid themselves of the memory of each other, but they realize that that's not what really they want to do. And Jim Carrey's excellent dude in this film. Like it's one of his fewer serious roles in that sense, but he still manages to add that manic energy to it. It's just excellent.
There's something about when you see comedians trying to do drama,
it becomes so much more
it's
real.
More endearing for some reason.
I don't know what it is.
I believe them a lot more.
Yeah, such a solid
just for
point.
some odd reason. I feel like I'm gripped into it.
It's kind of like that whole thing, the tragic clown almost. In that sense. Yeah, that's a thing, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's one of the suggestions. The other ones we got were Scott Pilgrim and Ramona, where he fights 7 evil exes to be with her. That's classic, I guess. You can't get better than that. My last one was a toss-up between like a couple of places. I thought obviously Neo Trinity, because that's a great, that's amazing because they have ultimate sacrifice at the end.
Yeah.
She basically makes him the one.
I have no idea how it ended because I didn't see the third one.
What? Are you serious?
I might have seen 10 minutes.
It's a great series. Like it's one of the best science fiction trilogies ever. And The Matrix is one of the best science fiction.
I rewatched the first movie like a while ago.
And so I'm talking about only the first movie. He dies at the end. He's not the one until she says, "You're the one," and resuscitates. Like she basically by prophecy. It's weird, but it's such a great romantic move in that sense. And she necrophiliacally kisses him, his dead body, brings him back to life. He's the one. Boom.
Okay, so this is not your choice then?
This was not my choice.
So what is your choice?
Other option was The Lake House, a movie that I really love. Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves, who live 2 years apart, and the only way they can communicate is through a postbox. And it's one of my favorite films ever. But I have to give it to an animated film, which is WALL-E by Pixar. The ultimate robot falling in love with another robot movie. One of my favorites. And I get so much hate for it. Like people say that's not one of their favorite films. Like from Pixar, everyone prefers so many. Like my cousins especially, they define what is so great about WALL-E. But there's so much great about WALL-E. It's it's an amazing film, proper dystopia, and it's not something you would expect. Like two robots falling in love, and it's very cute. It's like the You've Got Mail animated version, but with robots. In that sense,
See, I've tried to watch WALL-E maybe 4 times.
It's one of
I've
my
gotten
favorites.
no more than 15 minutes in, but it's always been because something has come up
Prevented
while
you from-
watching it. I was like, oh crap, I can't watch this
Dude,
now.
you got
I
it.
really need to do
You know,
that.
the first
I've
45
tried so many
minutes
times.
of
Every
the
time I've
film-
seen this movie, it's just...
Yeah. First 45 minutes of this film, zero dialogue. That's insane.
I've never heard dialogue in this movie because I haven't got
amazing.
that far.
It's amazing. And it's like, and just the way he kind of pursues her into space and ultimately resolves an environmental crisis. Like, that's the story of WALL-E, really. It's like about how humans have to come back to Earth. But like, he does this all in the name of love. And like, there's this great nods to like 2001 Space Odyssey. There's a character called Otto, which is very much like Hal. And it's like pretty much ripped off from Hal. And it's hilarious. It's just so funny. And it's just endearing and cute, and it's just gorgeously animated.
I have to make special mention for one that I was considering as well that was also an animated thing, but it's not strictly science fiction, though it is fun.
Which one?
Fiction and fantasy. Milhouse and Lisa Simpson. They never get together again, but that's why I love it. I just love seeing that
once
struggle.
it happened and it's
just that struggle.
But they will eventually, I suppose.
I hope never. It'd just be
I know
great.
for you
yeah,
again.
I just want to see that. But also, real quick, before we go to our
Random
news stuff thing, I mentioned this to you the other day. This is also not strictly science fiction at all, but I recently rediscovered The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Right? On a whim. I was actually quite sick last weekend, so I was just in bed, and I watched the entire first season of it because it's 6 episodes and it's 20 minutes each. So
Okay.
it's really easy to watch.
Yeah, it was a great show,
I
man.
completely forgot how great that show is. It
an
is
amazing
so
show.
good because I only saw that show when I was like a kid, when I was like
same.
8, right?
Same.
And now that I'm older, I can actually understand a lot more to it. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it's narrated by him 20 years in the future. And the
Correct.
way that the dialogue and the voiceover works is it's sort of in between of like it's him presenting this, like he's sort of put a lens on his own life and presenting it to you.
It's in retrospect, yeah.
It's in retrospect, so he speaks about his inner monologue, and then he says, and now is when I did this, and then he may or may not react to it the way he says it's going to happen.
Okay, cool.
And then he sort of saves face. Well, he has to like sort of backtrack with his narration. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But there's one episode in particular that really I loved, which was, so the whole show is about Winnie Cooper and Kevin Arnold,
Yeah,
right?
of course, yeah.
And they're on again, off again kind of thing, and it's amazing. And when they're like 12 years old, they have this thing where he is dating somebody else, and then he doesn't know how to deal with it because he's trying to make her jealous, and he's 12, so he's like bumbling as he goes about doing it.
Yeah.
Next thing he knows, he gets punched in the face and he passes out. Right? So he has this like weird, vivid dream sequence when he's like writhing in pain on the floor. Earlier in that episode, while he was making out with said girlfriend, they were watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
So when he's like had his lights punched out by this other girl, he dreams that he and his friends are reenacting that scene that they were watching from Star Trek.
Classic Star Trek.
Yeah, like Kirk, Star
I
Trek,
guess the
Kirk and
other
Spock.
one's not out by then.
This was like, that TV was black and white.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
they're watching black and white Star
So
Trek.
is Wayne? No, Wayne's what I'm saying. Is the Wonder Years set in a time?
1968.
It's before. It's a period piece.
Yeah, it's a period
But
piece.
it was made in the 80s. So
It came out 88. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So set in 1968. Yeah. So in his dream sequence, I just laughed out loud so much that he dreamt that he was Kirk and his friend Paul was Spock, and like he was with two of their friends, and they were Bones and Scotty, and they recreate that exact scene that they were watching on Star Trek.
Yeah.
But instead of aliens that were like monsters and like rah, they were the girls, Winnie and his girlfriend, and they come down and they're the aliens, and they're like mind controlling the crew.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, "Oh no, why we don't understand you. We come in peace. Please be kind to us." And the whole narration was like, in that moment I realized I do not understand women. They're like aliens to me, and they will always be like aliens.
Wow.
And it was just great. Like that,
Yeah,
that show is.
had great pop culture references, I suppose. Yeah.
And I have to mention, you will not believe how amazing the music is.
Yeah, I
in
know.
that thing.
Yeah. I was watching an interview after you told me
it's
with Fred Savage and
in one episode, they have
Yeah.
Hendrix, Joni Mitchell, and Simon and Garfunkel. Right after right after a Star Trek flashback on a Star Trek dream sequence, they play "I'm a Rock" by Simon and Garfunkel, which is like a pretty deep cut by Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that song, and I was like, how did you marry Star Trek and Simon and Garfunkel and make it work so well?
you were
it's
telling me
such
that
a
the whole
brilliant
reason
show.
why they couldn't release the box set until very recently was because of the
because
musical
music
rights.
rights. Because like every episode has like 3 or 4 songs, because it's all music from the 60s and 70s, which is amazing period of music. And so it was just took them, like, they have Beatles all over the place, they have the Stones all over the
Casually
place. Just
sprinkled.
literally
Can
just
you
throw it
imagine
in.
doing that today, though?
They have a thing of Blackbird where
Yeah.
they only sing, it's like this really sad like walking sequence where he's like moping to himself. They play the guitar part of Blackbird.
Yeah.
And then they remove the vocal line.
what?
And so the only vocal you hear is, all your life you've been waiting for this moment to arise.
Okay, so they've
That's the
basically
only line
taken
they've
the
taken.
stems
So they've
and-
taken stems of all these songs.
Wow,
and
man.
It works so well.
Imagine how hard that would be to do today.
I know.
It's almost near impossible to
Well,
do
you
that.
have to go to Michael Jackson because he owns most
Exactly.
of the Beatles at this point.
Yeah,
Well, he's dead,
that's-
so you can't go to him either. Oh, I went there.
Who owns it now? It's the estate, I guess.
Neverland.
Neverland Estate, yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the name of his estate.
Jermaine and people.
Jermaine.
And Tito.
And Tito, yeah.
And the other guys.
And the names we don't remember. Well, Janet. Janet's there.
Anyway, let's talk about random stuff.
Random stuff.
Random news generator.
So,
Hit me with your best shot.
this is something we posted on the Geek Fruit Facebook page.
Oh, look at that sly promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my favorite shows, also Bashub's favorite show, who works with us, we used to watch it together, was Hannibal. And Hannibal is completely underrated. It did better in Europe than it did in
It's
the
on
States.
my list. I really need to see it.
Excellently
Yeah,
art
I've heard nothing
directed
but great things about the visual.
yeah,
Yeah.
cinematography, and just like psychologically super deep. All of it done by amazing showrunner Brian Fuller, who
Star Trek.
after now season 3 it got cancelled, and we were wondering, and so apparently Hannibal was the first show of his to go past a first season, and he's done only great stuff like Pushing Daisies.
Oh, wow.
And he did Hannibal, and now he's doing Star Trek, and he's doing something else I can't remember, but the principal one is he's going to be the showrunner on Star Trek, the new
Oh,
Star Trek.
and Neil Gaiman. He's doing American Gods?
American Gods, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And I was just like, I don't know if this man is the luckiest or unluckiest guy in television right now,
Yeah.
because he gets the pick of the litter in terms of what he wants to do, but his stuff has not even gone beyond a couple of seasons. And I was just like, wow.
I think I just saw earlier today that they were, I don't know if they've confirmed, but they're considering Angela something, a girl, to be...
Lansbury?
No, that would be amazing. To
Yeah.
play, to be the captain.
Oh, what?
In the Star Trek.
Nice.
Angela something. I really wish I looked this
Oh,
up
is she?
more.
What is she in though? Okay.
I literally just saw a headline and I didn't...
But how
get to
about
look
that, man?
through
Star
it.
Trek coming back.
Yeah.
And it's being produced by the same guys who wrote, I think, Robert Urkey and Alex Kurtzman, the guys who did the first Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness.
But
And
didn't this guy, he's worked on, Brian Fuller's worked on,
Next Generation?
no, Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
Deep Space
yeah.
Nine and
Did you ever
handful
watch
of
Deep Space
episodes.
Nine?
I've never seen Deep
Awesome,
Space Nine.
man. It's
actually.
great.
I've never seen it.
I used to catch it randomly on television, when it used to come out. That, and I used to watch a little bit of Enterprise. And I only watched Enterprise because the theme song was Faith of the Heart by Rod Stewart. And I remember, I got pain, and these awesome science fiction visuals and all that stuff, these Enterprise visuals. So yeah, it was a cool show. And yeah, man, Star Trek is back, and it's going to be... Do you think this will be the next... Not generation, but the next good Star Trek show, because Deep Space Nine was great.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, though.
A
That's
long
true.
while since we've had Star Trek. So
We'll always have Star Trek, though, I guess, right?
yeah, we better.
What a legacy, man. Gene Roddenberry. Crazy.
Yeah.
And will it be a spin-off from the movies? Is the third movie going to end
don't-
with... It's going to
You
be a new
never know,
It's going to
you
be a new
never
crew,
know.
I guess.
It'll
yeah.
have to be a new crew. Yeah, they'll need to be.
Well, technically, yeah, because Kirk is set way before this. If they're still following it chronologically, yeah.
What year is?
I don't know what year it is. Don't know what year it is.
Anyway.
But apparently, this year was last year was the year when Captain Kirk was born.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, they did a little post on it saying,
cool.
that, oh, happy birthday, Captain
Nice.
James Tiberius Kirk. Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, that was my bit of news.
So I have news that it's actually just a couple days old. So you actually might have heard of it, but there's actually, did we post a thing about this? I don't
possible.
remember.
It's possible we only talk about things we post.
That there'll be a Supergirl and Flash
crossover. Yes,
Are
of
you,
course. March 25th, I believe it's going to be
Are
out.
you in favor or?
I am always in favor of a crossover for the sake of
Because we've seen
watching
how Flash
characters
and
grow.
Arrow went.
Yeah.
How their crossovers are pretty
Terrible.
Yeah.
And see,
have you seen Supergirl? I haven't seen it.
I've seen only a few episodes. So Dinkar and Bashub have watched all of it, and they really like it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've said it's quite... It's a lot like Flash in that sense. It's still not probably up to the... And also just generally, Supergirl, I would pick Flash over Supergirl purely because he has the multiverse to deal with, and he's got a more interesting kind of set of superpowers. Supergirl is... Well, I don't want to put it this way. She's female Superman, but at the same time...
If that's all she is, then I really don't care. If she's something more than that,
No,
then
so
I'm
what is
invested.
really
Because I
interesting-
don't like Superman. So I'm like,
I know. I know.
if she has a different angle in the story,
exactly.
then maybe it
and
could work.
what the angle has always been for me is that it's her character, her identity, which is, Kara, and like, how she is under the shadow of Superman, and I always thought that was interesting.
Why is she under the shadow?
Because, like, she has a lot to know. Because he's older than, technically she's older than he is, but because he reaches Earth and she gets lost through like a time warp or something like that, she ends up becoming younger than him.
Okay.
And basically, so she has a lot to live up to. Basically, is the arc basically of the story, and
but if she is his equal in every which way, then
but that's the beauty of Superman. That's the beauty of Superman, which people do not appreciate. Is that Superman is not all his powers. It's about how he's dealing with the weight of being the most powerful being on several planets and like possibly the universe.
He's not, because here comes the exact same person in female form.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's still the way he uses his moral compass. It makes him greater than who he is. Like, he's more than just the sum of his powers.
So how's she different?
She's different because she's a kid and she's like a teenager. Like,
we should. I feel like this conversation
is another episode.
Is a whole episode on itself.
Yeah.
Let's actually watch the show before we.
It's a good. No, it's like basically based on the comics and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a great topic.
So you're excited for this crossover thing?
I'm excited because I just want to see Flash do different things.
I guess, yeah.
And, meeting Supergirl could be cool. If they reference some other stuff, I mean, it would be pretty. So apparently the last episode of Flash, which just came out, is amazing. It's where they've finally gone to Earth too, so I don't know.
Oh, yes, that is what they're doing. Yes,
so
that was nice
I'm quite interested. Having said that, I just want to drop this one mention, though. Mm-hmm. And this is, spoiler alert, I guess, not really, but they're searching for the Earth 2 version of Jay Garrick in the last episode. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So they're searching for it. And they find him.
Yeah.
And he says... and he says...
Different name.
He's got a different name. And his name is Hunter Zolomon. And Hunter Zolomon, very popularly in the comics, was the Reverse Flash. So there's something there. There is something definitely... if he's not Zoom already, I don't know what it is. We can't be Zoom, but like... he's definitely going to be a major player.
Cool.
Because they could have casually just dropped the name, I suppose, but like... For all Flash fans, you know that this guy's got, like, he's a villain.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's going to lead to something. Anyway,
cool.
That was my bit.
Well done.
Cool.
Are you sufficiently romanced?
Not really.
Nah,
I feel worse about myself.
Yeah, it's just very depressing.
We just sat in a room and spoke about romance for an hour, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but if you have any thoughts, anything to add, not you, Jishnu, the people who are listening to this show.
And don't tell me what to do.
Contact geekfruit@gmail.com.
Okay, maybe I will.
Yeah, and you can also find us on Facebook where we pimp out our posts.
I know where you are.
Facebook, social media, everything is on @GeekFruitHQ, where HQ stands for High Quotient.
What?
No, I don't know. It stands for headquarters.
Just go home.
Okay, cool, man. See you guys next week. We're going to be talking about Deadpool and censorship, I suppose. Yep, that's going to be good. Cool. See ya.
Bye, nerds.
When this podcast is over, then you have my permission to die.
Hey, man, are you hungry?
I'm
perpetually hungry.
I'm peckish.
All right, then, when about the time you get hungry, you should definitely listen to the podcast. Podcast. It's spelled Powd. Because
it's a pun.
No, it's not really.
It's not a pun.
No, it is a pun.
It is a pun.
Basically, their website is called The Daily Pow.
Look, is it a pun or not?
It's a pun. It's a pun.
Is it fun?
It's fun, I guess.
Then do it.
Alright, so, if you like listening to our show, then you should definitely check out the podcast. Because they're also pretty like indie and stuff, and they have a website called The Daily Pow, and they review a lot of things in and around the city, like, food and culture spots and city secrets. I don't know what those are, by the way. Are there like secrets in the city that we don't know about? And they talk about like the real gems of Bombay. So if you like it, then you should definitely check it out. It's done by Purva Mehra, Pranoti Datta, and Amit Gurbaksani, who's like a great music journalist. And they're really good at it.
They are very charming people.
They're awesome. Yeah, we just met them, and they're really great. And their podcast is great as well.
It's a fun pun.
And you can find it on ivmpodcast.com. Not podcast. The podcast can be found on IVM Podcasts. Not podcast. ivmpodcast.com.